Hello there. Today, me want to talk to you about asking
questions about what their masters are really up to.
The limits of debate in this country are established before the debate even begins, and everyone else is marginalized. They're made to seem either to be communists or some sort of disloyal person, a kook, there's a word, and now it's conspiracy. See, they've made that something that should not be even entertained for a minute, that powerful people might get together and have a plan. Doesn't happen. You're a kook. You're a conspiracy buff.
Because asking questions is a good way to find out about things.
And the objective is to brainwash the people into accepting the phony peace bait to transform the United States into an enslaved unit of the United Nations one world government.
That we should have a world government, but only when the Messiah arrives.
The masterminds behind this great conspiracy have absolute control of all of our mass communications media, especially television, the radio, the press, and Hollywood.
They're determined to kill us.
It's something we've been warning about over the last year.
What is at stake is more than one small country. It is a big idea, a new world order.
We needed a new world order.
A new world order.
That's the new world order.
The world order.
A new world order.
A world order.
You go where the facts lead.
Because what happened to Germany during the Nazi era is happening to America and the West today.
And the enslavement of the American people within a UN one-world dictatorship.
I think the investigation is going well.
A one-world government.
They're doing their investigation. They will get to the bottom of this.
A one-world economy.
Now the UN is backing a plan to change all of that and create a new global currency.
You can only do so much.
A one-world military.
You keep working the sources and we'll get right back to you.
A one-world society.
Are you worried someone's feelings might get hurt?
And a one-world religion.
Observe.
All enforced with absolute control under a single world ruler. Abolition of all monarchical government and patriotism to it.
We must have a central bank to secure this country's finances.
If the American people ever allow private banks to control the issue of their money, first by inflation and then by deflation.
Elimination of private property and inheritance.
The banks and corporations that will grow up around them will deprive the people of their property until their children will wake up homeless on the very continent their fathers conquered.
Jefferson, you're mad. This country will have a central bank.
Destruction of the traditional family.
Those of you who have never heard of some of the deep things of Satan.
And eradication of all religion.
Well, join me. I'm glad to sit here at the right hand of Satan.
I know your works. But I have this against
you. They were sitting ducks.
It's important to note that these cowards were happy to order mass death and destruction, despite never having been in battle themselves.
The prostitute has 7 heads, or 7 rays of initiation, radiating from her crown.
And a blasphemous name upon his head, and the beasts that are souls of the leopard.
At the base of the Statue of Liberty is a plaque. It states that the statue is a gift from the Freemasons of France to the Freemasons of America.
And its mouth is like a lion's mouth.
Me have a question for you.
We have heard that 500,000 children have died. I mean, that's more children than died in Hiroshima. And you know...
Me going to ask most important question of all. Watch. You no can miss this. Okay.
Is the price worth it?
I think this is a very hard choice, but we think the price is worth it.
Why? Why? What kind of answer is that? Oh no! Oh no! No! Well, okay. Me no panic. Me no panic.
While I was there, I saw the Iraqi soldiers come into the hospital with guns. They took the babies out of the incubators. Took the incubators and left the children to die on the cold floor.
And the whole earth followed the beast with one. And they worship the beast, saying, "Who is like the beast, and who can fight against the beast?"
Two sides of the story.
And we'll get that information to you just as soon as possible. We are all pitching in to make sure we do this correctly.
To tell us not the truth, but what they want us to believe.
It opened its mouth to other blasphemies.
One that you knew was coming.
Was against God.
Today, it is infinitely easier to kill 1 million people than to control 1 million people.
If everybody could please give Dr. Brzezinski another round of applause.
The FBI, which still has no notion.
The word occult does not mean evil. It means secret.
Now me ask another question. That's the question, lady. Now that's the right answer.
The Russian army was defecting. They were picking up their toys and going home. They didn't want to play war anymore. They didn't like the Tsar.
The First World War must be brought about in order to permit the Illuminati to overthrow the power of the Tsars in Russia and of making that country a fortress of atheistic communism.
The Zionists in Germany, who represented the Zionists from Eastern Europe, went to the British War Cabinet.
The divergences caused by the agents of the Illuminati between the British and the Germanic empires will be used to foment this war.
Any reason to believe there might be a connection to...
The Zionists in London went to the British War Cabinet and they said, look here, you can yet win this war. You don't have to give up. You don't have to accept a negotiated peace offered to you now by Germany. You can win this war if the United States will come in as your ally.
The great thing about America is that when any of us suffers, whether it's one family or one community, we all suffer.
The United States was not in the war at that time. We were fresh, we were young, we were rich, we were powerful. And they told England, we will guarantee to bring the United States into the war as your ally, to fight with you on your side, if you will promise us Palestine after you win the war.
At the end of the war, communism will be built and be used to destroy the other governments and in order to weaken the religions.
If I can be vulgar, we were suckered into that war merely so that the Zionists of the world could obtain Palestine.
But your administration talks a good game.
To stiffen the will to win, mass propaganda was used for the first time.
This propaganda they told us about them killing women and children and one thing and another. They had a lot of propaganda about that there. The Hun, you know, they called him. And how he'd go through these villages when he'd capture them and and kill all the people off, and that's the stuff that they told us, to feed you up to get you mad, I guess.
Atrocities alleged to have been committed by the Germans in Belgium were presented in melodramatic form.
Wir waren wütend über diese Diffamierung.
We were furious about this slander.
Haben sie immer als bösartige
We always said that it was evil propaganda, and we felt that we Germans were powerless to answer back.
In return, the British government wrote the famous Balfour Declaration and addressed it to none other than Lord Lionel Rothschild.
Oh, so you see, asking questions, very good way to find out about things.
With the fall of Nazi Germany, the Rothschilds wasted no time waving their Balfour Declaration at the British government and reminding them of their written promise to give them Palestine. But how could the British promise the Arab land of Palestine to the Jews?
The Second World War must be fomented by taking advantage of the differences between the fascists and the political Zionists.
In 1917, the British parachuted free opium and hashish to the Turkish troops and stole Palestine from them.
But this is going to be a painstaking investigation.
This war must be brought about so that Nazism is destroyed
over and over again,
and that the political Zionism is strong enough to institute a sovereign state of Israel in Palestine.
According to plan, the British pulled out of Palestine and gave the land to the Jewish Zionists.
During the Second World War, international communism must become strong enough in order to balance Christendom, which will then be restrained and held in check.
On October 24, 1945, the bankster pirates gave birth to their most powerful weapon of global control, the United Nations.
Until the time when we would need it for the final social cataclysm.
During World War II, the British needed Arab oil and signed an agreement with the Arabs which forbid Jewish immigration into Palestine. Then at the end of the war, the British broke their agreement with the Arabs and allowed the Rothschild Jewish Zionists to smuggle hundreds of thousands of Jews from around the world into Palestine. To win public support, the Rothschilds, who owned Reuters and the Associated Press, bombarded their media empire with images of homeless Jewish Holocaust refugees crowded together in ships off the coast of Palestine.
The Third World War must be fomented by taking advantage of the differences caused by the agents of the Illuminati between the political Zionists and the leaders of the Islamic world.
The powerful 1% went ahead with their pre-planned war. As always, using the poorest people's children to do the fighting.
So how serious is this idea?
We cannot wait for the final proof, the smoking gun, that could come in the form of a mushroom cloud.
Oh my God.
This war must be conducted in such a way that Islam and political Zionism mutually destroy each other.
The truly ignorant believe that books like the Bible are really the Word of God. Religion is horribly, unmistakably human.
Right now, it is not very serious.
Religion is regarded by the common people as true, by the wise as false, and by the rulers as useful.
Meanwhile, the other nations, once more divided on this issue, will be constrained to fight to the point of complete physical, moral, spiritual, and economical exhaustion.
The UN, with this report, is essentially just taking another swipe at the United States. Here's what he had to say.
This cult of death is rooted in the Bible, which the imperialist slaves believe is actually the Word of God. The same God that's used to send them to kill humans on the other side of the world because they have a different God.
We shall unleash the nihilists and the atheists, and we shall provoke a formidable social cataclysm, which in all its horror will show clearly to the nations the effect of absolute atheism, origin of savagery, and of the most bloody turmoil.
Is a complete and unknown mystery.
Now some people running along the dikes. Roger. Good job. I saw you splatter one right in the back with a rocket. Roger, got lucky again.
The multitude, disillusioned with Christianity, will receive the true light through the universal manifestation of the pure doctrine of Lucifer, brought finally out into the public view. This will follow the destruction of Christianity and atheism, both conquered and exterminated at the same time.
Mr. President, why did you drop the atom bomb?
Mr. President, the future wants to know, was it right to drop the atom bomb?
Me asked question and me got answer.
I made the only decision I ever knew how to make. I did what I thought was right.
Throughout the years of negotiations, we have insisted on peace with honor. Let us be proud of the young Americans who served with honor and distinction.
Today.
And the case is built.
See, in my line of work, you got to keep repeating things over and over and over again for the truth to sink in, to kind of catapult the propaganda.
George
W. Bush.
Those responsible. Let's go back to Cindy Hsu in the newsroom, who's joining us now with another update. Cindy?
Wait a second. Is this a live picture? This is a live picture. We are seeing the second World Trade Center Tower number 1 has just collapsed, ladies and gentlemen. You see it live in our picture.
On February 15, 2003, millions of people worldwide took to the streets in the world's largest ever day of protest. A protest against the pirate Bush regime and their British and Australian lapdogs who wanted to go to war on manufactured grounds. The majority of the world voted against this war, but were ignored. Is this democracy?
If that's the case, what does it mean for you?
We are not vigilant.
You've got to keep them pretty scared, because unless they're properly scared and frightened that all sorts of devils are going to destroy them from outside or inside or somewhere, they may start to think, which is very dangerous, because they're not competent to think. Therefore, it's important to distract them and marginalize them. America is the only nation insane enough to use nuclear weapons on their fellow human beings.
Rivers and streams throughout the city began to boil. People evaporated where they stood, leaving shadows of their bodies scorched onto the streets. In a matter of seconds, 4 square miles of Hiroshima became an atomic wasteland. Several minutes passed. Then a black rain began to fall on the city. Sticky, pebble-sized drops of radioactive ash.
Is this democracy?
This goal is not democratic. In fact, most people will not want this goal to be pursued because it limits their freedom. In spite of popular resistance, this goal is being achieved through secrecy and progressive conditioning to make the public want this goal.
The secret government is an interlocking network of official functionaries, spies, mercenaries, ex-generals, profiteers, and super patriots who, for a variety of motives, operate outside the legitimate institutions of government. Presidents have turned to them when they can't win the support of the Congress or the people, creating that unsupervised power so feared by the framers of our Constitution. Just imagine that William Casey's dream came true. Suppose the enterprise grew into a super-secret, self-financing, self-perpetuating organization. Suppose they decided on their own to assassinate Gorbachev or the leader of white South Africa. Could a president control them? And what if he became the enterprise's public enemy number 1? Who would know